CTV family. Catch us live on your TV screens.
Hi, if you just joined us, where have you been? It has been heating up. Snello went backstage to take a quick breath, but unfortunately for me, Udon is like, no, come, we need to talk. And we're talking about World Environmental Day, and we're celebrating it throughout the week. Don, welcome back to Ekse. You're doing great things for the show. By educating us here on the show, you're educating everybody at home. So South Africa is grateful to what you're doing. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much for having me back.
Yes, like I said, World Environmental Week, and we're celebrating the actual day on Saturday, the 5th of June. Why is it important for us to commemorate and celebrate that day?
Well, I think with all of these environmental days or, awareness days, it's just important for people to know what's going on and get that information so that they can make the decisions that make it easier for us to look after the planet.
And by us looking after the planet, it includes eating plant-based diet. But it has a reputation of being expensive, though.
So it does. A lot of people think it's expensive. There are a lot of the specialist products we showed you guys last week, the imported burgers, the stuff that tastes like meat. It's like technologically advanced food. But if we go to the basic food, sampan beans, lentils, rice, potatoes, the stuff that we know is wholesome and the stuff that's the best stuff for the environment, it's also the healthiest and it's also the cheapest.
Are there quick ways to prepare those kind of foods? Because people nowadays, they don't have time.
So I think the biggest thing, whenever I tell people beans or legumes or lentils, they always think you have to soak them. But again, a can of beans, a can of lentils.
Mama, are you listening? Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you. It takes 8 hours to cook some beans.
And so for a lot of people, they're eating meat. But if you go into the shop and you compare the price of meat to a can of lentils, and then it's so easy. There's so many ways to make it taste nice. You can go with all those herbs and spices, or you can buy one of those cooking sauces from like Knorr or something. It's so easy, but people aren't trying it. So just go into the proveg website, you can sign up for the veggie challenge, and you can find recipes that are cheap and easy, tasty, and really good for the environment.
And that's you turning vegan, and that is benefiting the environment. How?
So the big thing is that a lot of people don't realize we feed a lot of plant matter, a lot of grains, a lot of legumes to animals. The animals eat them. They create waste. There's methane from farts and burps. There's runoff on the ground. There's land usage. There's water usage. There's climate change. All of these things are because we're eating animals instead of just eating the plants themselves.
Yeah. Before the ad break, I was with Umihlali Nosnalo working out, and I told him what I had for lunch, and he's like, you don't eat that. So according to you, what's the worst diet plan?
So it depends. If we're looking for the environment, if we look at something like beef, it's really not good for the environment. Yeah. And then we're looking at health as well. We see animal products are very acidifying. Anything with a lot of processed sugars in it or processed carbs, so like junk food. Obviously, if we're putting oil in, we're deep frying stuff, that's not great. So we're looking for natural food in its natural state is usually the healthiest, the cheapest, and the most environmentally friendly.
Perhaps the cheapest thing you can do for yourself, especially when you want to have food, is to have a garden?
So I think that's for the people who do have that luxury. I had a balcony and I had a veggie patch, and we grew amazing stuff in a very small amount of space. So again, just go online, all of the instructions are there, and it can be an affordable thing if you do have the access to a garden.
Yeah, one last time, Donovan, where do we access you? Take us online, how do we find you?
So proveg.com, www.veggiechallenge.co.za. That's probably the best place to look for us, or Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, in a couple of weeks' time, we are looking out for the ocean because it's going to be World Ocean Day. Are you going to come back to show us what kind of foods that we can replace fish with so that we do not have them extinct?
I'm very excited. We're going to bring you fish and chips, we're going to bring you sushi, and we're going to eat it on live on TV, and all of your audience can see it.
And the fish is not actual fish.
It's all 100% plant-based, but it's just as good.
Hello, unbelievable. And if you want to believe it, make sure that you come through to Ekse Live every weekday between the hours of 4 and 5. We did tell you that it is International Children's Week. Ulwandile had the privilege of sitting down with the Red Cross Children's Hospital, and this is exactly how it went. Let's check it out.
Happy Children's Day. Thank you so much, Lamali Moon. For now, you're kicking it back to me But right now, though, I feel like as we're saying Happy Children's Day, we need to be speaking to people who are directly working with children, and that is what we love to hear. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Udwayne from the Red Cross Hospital, who is going to be talking to us about children in general, what it is we need to know, what's happening in their lives. Are parents actually celebrating Children's Day? Because you know, sometimes being a parent is so hard, especially being a parent to a child who has needs. So we're going to be talking about all of those things and everything in between. So thank you so much for joining us, Dwayne, and welcome to the studio. Well, virtually, must I say. Welcome to the studio.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Happy Children's Day.
Literally, happy Children's Day. Now, I want to know, what are some of the joys that you get from working with children? Because I feel like we need to start off on a very high note. What are some of the things that you celebrate about working with those beautiful, very cute young ones?
Oh, it's just amazing things. It's like having a piece or something to do with a great recovery. You have children coming into the hospital being very ill.
Yeah.
You have children coming in with very serious injuries, and then to see them leave the hospital with smiles on their faces,
Yeah.
and a spring in their step is always fantastic. So we do it for the results, and we do it to help the children.
I love that. And speaking of helping children, now what are some of the things that we feel like children need help with, especially in this day and age? Because I know we were talking about how you can't celebrate Children's Day because of COVID-19. So why can't you celebrate Children's Day? Is it because restrictions are too much? You are afraid children might get hurt? The immune systems are still too weak. They can't handle it, but we can look at it from a different angle?
Well, look, I think there's different types of things to look at, right? When we're looking at COVID, we're looking at stopping super spreader events. So we don't want any potential super spreader event. We don't want to spread the virus. We want to keep it all under wraps, and we want to keep it under control. So that's what we're looking at. That's one of our dominant and predominant concerns.
Yeah.
And then also we're looking at not only the children, but we're looking at the adults. We have parents, we have caregivers, we have staff that we also need to protect.
Yeah.
And we need to prevent the spread of COVID with them as well. So yes, we do have patients who are, have compromised immune systems, might be under immunosuppression, might have other conditions that make them susceptible to COVID, which we want to prevent. But we also want to protect our staff and our caregivers on site as well.
Yeah, I love that. And then just speaking of that, I want to dive into the conversation of parents because you mentioned them. Let's say I am celebrating Happy Children's Day, but my child is currently at the Red Cross Hospital. And I really don't feel like I have much hope or much anything actually to celebrate. What do you have to say to that parent that's currently struggling with a sick child or a child that's not doing okay mentally, everything in between?
Well, I think that, we at the hospital, we're very much a family unit, and we believe in putting the patient as well as the caregiver or the parents in this case, at the center of our care.
Yeah.
So if you're not feeling up to it, speak to one of our nurses, ask to speak to a social worker. We have religious opportunities for you to speak to our chaplain, or if you need some other religious assistance, we can help you get that spirituality and that guidance as well. So we are open. We're here to help you. So if you need any assistance, please, speak up, ask us. We can't celebrate. We can't be having a party outside like we normally would.
Yeah.
We've got COVID restrictions, but there's still things that we can do to help you. So please speak up, and we'll see what we can do for you.
Speak up, everyone. And speaking of speaking up, what are some of the things that kids have actually said to you before that you were like, whoa, these kids are definitely doing much better from when they came in to when they're leaving? Those smiles, those giggles, like what are the precious moments that you're holding close to your heart right now, especially since it's Happy Children's Day, so let's celebrate them.
Oh, I've been a dad of 3 myself.
Yeah.
Any moment that you have and any interaction you have with the child where there's a smile involved is magical for me. So I remember getting a little fist bump from a child who lost their fingers in a fire, being very happy that they've now able to go home and albeit without fingers. I remember that very, very clearly. I remember another patient who had her one of her toes transferred onto her hand.
Yeah.
And that was also an amazing moment to be part of that journey and to see her come in and have the surgery and then be able to leave and to be able to use that toe later on
Yeah.
as a thumb was just fantastic.
That is so Blowing. I literally can't think of a better thing. But right now, though, I'm unfortunately going to have to link to Lama. But ladies and gentlemen, the interview is not over. We're still going to be speaking to Dwayne a little later on, literally in the next 5 minutes or so, finding out how we can keep our children safe. So Lama Lee Moon, what's happening on your side?
Baby girl, everything is heating up my side, so make sure that you do not go anywhere because kuya wala. We're going to give you 5 reasons to be pro-veg.
CTV family.